Continuing into Season 5, we break into the entire Hardin's Creek lineup, including the locational releases and the last two Jacob's Well releases. Which one came out on top and how did we rank them? Find out more on this episode of The Bourbon Hunters. But before we get started, do you want to support our podcast? Do you like bourbon gear? Visit our website at www.bourbonhunters.com to purchase some of our custom bourbon gear and support the podcast. Thank you for taking time out of your day to join us on our hunt for great bourbon. Reward yourself and sit back, grab a pour, kick up your feet, and enjoy. Welcome to another episode of the Bourbon Hunters. I'm Dude Pool. I'm joined by
Jason C.
and
JD Fritches.
And then we've also got Tyler and Brett. Oh, no, we don't. They are absent to start the year. Awesome.
That was a smooth transition. I like it.
Good start of the year for those guys. Brett at least had a work function, and Tyler just chose not to come. So there's that.
Give the guy a King of Kentucky sample, and he doesn't show.
Yeah. Yeah, he was sending us texts showing us holding his cock in his hand. KOK, King of Kentucky.
It's kind of small, wasn't
I
it?
told him it must have been mine because he could fit his whole hand around it. So, all right. Today, guys, enough of that nonsense. Today, we're doing a Hardin's Creek lineup. We've got some Jacob's Well from last year and well, what is it, 2022 and 2023?
Yes.
And then I keep saying this year and last year, but we're actually in 2024 now, aren't we?
That's right.
So we've got that, and then we've got the 2023 releases of the Hardin's Creek location releases.
Claremont, Boston, and Frankfurt.
Frankfurt, yeah. So we've got all three of those. We've got the last two Jacob's Wells. I think it should make for a nice lineup here.
Nice little comparison.
Yeah.
Only one missing is that 2-year that they shouldn't have made.
Well, then that's a good thing it's not missing.
Well, remember, the Hardin's Creek series was basically created by Beam in order to highlight some of their more unique, and I hate how they describe this, but Beam says liquid streams, which I don't like when they say that.
The one in front is the 15-year. The one coming in from behind is the 17.5.
All right.
So we have a 17-and-a-half-year-old coming in from behind?
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Interesting.
All right.
So the one in the front's the one we're starting with. That was 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Or 2022, I should say.
Yeah, this was actually a top whiskey for me last year, if I remember correctly. Well, actually, 2 years ago. Now, we keep forgetting we're in 2024 now. But I was a huge fan of this one. But, yeah, they released... so Hardin's Creek is really more of an introduction, another brand that Jim Beam introduced to highlight some of Jim Beam's more... I'm not going to say experimental whiskeys they have, but some of their whiskeys that they feel are a little bit more special. Maybe not so, not stuff that you find every day. So this could include high age, as we saw with the Colonel B Beam, which also released with Hardin's Creek, which was what was that, like 2 years old, 3 years old?
2.
It was a 2-year-old bourbon that used a low entry proof, and I think they distilled it differently or something like that.
I think it's got an extra 2 days.
Is that what it is?
Or an extra 2 days in the fermentation process.
Yeah, it was...
what does that do? If it's not fermenting anymore, what's that
But it was
do?
$80, and I was like, no thanks.
Well, so we've got 108 proof for both of these, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And so Hardin's Creek, it's basically a recurring limited release
Actually,
that they're doing.
the one in front's 109 proof.
Oh, is it?
Is that the 211 month?
Yeah.
That's this year's.
All right, so it's 1 proof
17.5.
point higher.
Okay. All right.
But we're drinking the 108 proof.
108. So this is the 2022. What are you guys getting on the nose for this? I'm pretty excited about this. Hardin's Creek, when we had this in our tour at Jim Beam, I was pretty pumped that they pulled one of those out for us. It put me on the Hardin's Creek trail.
I get a little floral action. Soft vanilla.
I definitely get some oak. So the age
Yeah, the age is coming through.
The age is coming through. It's almost the first thing I get. It's almost like a nice toasted oak to it, like a little, maybe some marshmallow or something mixed in with some oak. What are you getting on this, Jason?
I kind of get like that nice beamy, that like, I'm not going to say peanut shell because I think the age kind of doesn't really play into that. But for me, this was always more of like a, like you said, like kind of like a toasted oak, a little bit of like a hint of smoke, and I also get this little slight medicinal cherry. I get from.
I was about to say cherry when
Yeah.
you were done
Yeah.
because it wasn't. I didn't get it at first, and then I kept smelling.
But it's like that medicinal cherry. It's not like a fresh cherry.
Like something out of a NyQuil or something like that.
Yeah.
Which I'm okay with. I enjoy NyQuil. I'm a big fan.
So this is a blend, actually. It's a blend of I don't remember the blend proportions, but I do remember. I know the one we're drinking now is a blend of 15-year and 16-year-old bourbons, and one of those is a high rye bourbon, and the other one is I guess their regular rye bourbon. And it's called Jacob's Well because Jacob Beam, I think in like the late 1700s, like built a well. So they basically named it after him. So there's your history lesson for the day.
Well, there it is.
There it is. All right.
So speaking of medicinal cherry, I've got a really nice single barrel NyQuil upstairs. You guys, if we want to try that out after all
I can't
this.
wait to try that.
I said that right when you were taking a drink, sorry.
Is it dangerous to blend NyQuil? Like if I blended NyQuil and DayQuil, what happens?
Oh, you just stay.
You just explode?
What
happens?
You just stay neutral.
Weekend at Bernie's, you just kind of pass out, but you're awake.
Your eyes stay open, but you have no idea what's going on.
I want to walk up to I want to go into like a pharmacy and it's like can I have the NyQuil and the DayQuil? I like to blend them. Just see what they say. Just see their face.
Are you a distiller?
I think you can buy those over the counter. I don't think you have to.
Oh yeah, that's right. I think you can.
It's not until you get to the meth stuff like the Advil, cold and sinus where you have to actually provide an ID.
Yeah, I'll take a. I like to blend them.
I don't know why, but I get like a little floral.
It could be that high rye that's in it. You know, it does have that high rye mash bill in it. So I could see floral.
The one thing I will say right out of the gates is I think I like the nose better than the palate at first.
I do like the high rye. I'm a high rye guy, so that spice that it has.
I'm not getting a lot of spice. Are you
Really?
getting it on the mouth?
Well, maybe because it's my first pour in a while. Maybe that's why.
Is your mouth experience giving you some high rye?
No. Well, that sip it didn't. So yeah, maybe it's just me.
Settling
like I
in.
said, I haven't drank
A
it
light
in
visceral
like
reaction.
4 days.
4 hours.
4 or 5 days.
I haven't
4 hours.
I haven't had anything drink in 4 hours.
In 4 minutes. Yeah. So. I was a huge fan of this, and even when I did it in a blind tasting 2 years ago at the end of the year, it did really well. It really held up.
Well, that drink, that was better. Mm-hmm. That was much better. I got a little bit more of the spice there than I did before.
I think the spice helps it, and it actually really balances out the oak and the sweetness that it has.
Yeah.
I mean, Jim Beam, to me, you never really get like all this complexity to it. I feel like it's very straightforward. You get your rich caramels, your vanillas, you get some brown sugars. Sometimes you get some dark fruit notes here and there. I feel like the Knob Creek single barrels generally can get a little bit more vast in flavor profiles. But as far as these, I think you'll see more of a difference when we get to all three Hardin's Creeks. I think those three really do have differences, which I think Beam killed it in 2023. They were my distillery of the year.
Really?
Yeah, because not only did they bring out all this stuff that was age stated, they have the 3 Hardin's Creeks. They released 4 Bookers, whether
Baker's 13 again.
whatever or not your feelings of Bookers.
Well,
Baker's 13 again. Baker's
that.
13 again.
Yeah.
They released
the Legacy, right? The 3 or the Freddie No Fred No.
Yeah, and they also released a little 3 tasting pack of all 3 Hardin's Creek, which I thought was a brilliant idea. And then on top of that, they also brought back age statements for the Knob Creek, the 9-year small batch and the 9-year single barrel. I mean, the year of the age statement for Jim Beam.
Did they do an 18-year this year in the Knob Creek, or was that 2 years ago?
Yeah, I have a batch 2 of it.
Yeah. Then they have the old. Overhaul 10-year cast strength.
Oh yeah.
Little Book is on fire this 2023, an absolutely stunner of a whiskey. They killed it this year. So
the Little Book was pretty good this year.
Absolutely. I went in like this isn't going to be good, and I was like, wow.
Really?
And then that last release of Booker's was
I didn't buy it because I
fantastic.
didn't think it sounded good.
Yeah.
What was it? Story Time?
I got the last
Story
Booker's,
Time. Wasn't that good?
and I've got his signature on it too.
Didn't do
Nice.
well. That actually was in my top 40 blind at the end of the year. Didn't do well.
Oh.
The problem with Booker's is that when you put it up against stuff with some good age on it, it just falls flat.
How old are the Bookers generally?
About
6.5 to
right now they've been
7.5.
lately they've been about 7 years and change.
I think they're all just really close in profile. The Bookers.
Yeah, it's hard to find that gem. The last one was a country ham.
I have the country ham back there still.
I still have half a bottle of mine.
Never
That's
had
it.
it.
Oh, it's good.
What?
It's good.
I should have brought that. I wish I knew.
I've got it. You don't have
he's
to bring
got it.
Yeah,
Hey,
I've got it.
Turn the game.
I've got it.
Turn the
Is
game.
it open?
Yeah.
Oh, there you
It's
go.
about a third left, maybe,
It's
or
like
half
you're gonna
left.
have. It's like you're gonna have some ham for dinner
Yeah.
tonight.
Yeah. I'm fine with it. I'm
Some
down.
ham and potatoes.
Listen, I only have to coach the 6 a.m. CrossFit tomorrow. It's fine. And I have 2 job interviews tomorrow. So
Good for you.
Good for you, man. I was gonna ask you what was going on with
yeah,
that. but-
I mean it's slow going. There, all the holidays and
Well,
stuff.
yeah, the holidays are kind of coming to an
Yeah,
end. So
right. So and immediately I just started. I was hoping this would happen, and it's starting to pick up. So
I've got my boss considering doing shirts and a hoodie.
okay, yeah,
And so he's going to email you soon.
that's good. I've got 2 or 3 big orders getting ready to happen right now, and then as soon as those are done, I should have a dry spell for a minute.
nice.
Cool.
So that'll be
All
good.
right, I want to compare this to the
other one.
to the new one.
Can,
All
we,
right.
can we get the corduroy shirt too?
That one they don't make it anymore. I looked after
It's
the
nice.
trip. I know. I love it. It droops or drapes or whatever really well. It droops and drapes.
It droops and drapes. That's gonna be.
Oh, the nose on this is nice.
Oh yeah,
I'm gonna have to cleanse my palate for
So
this.
they're very different.
One. Are they? I can kind of tell on the nose. I get a little cotton candy or something.
Yep.
this is a lot sweeter on the nails for sure.
It's
I
funny.
don't get any of that cherry on here. This is more like candy sweet.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
nice.
That's what I was saying. Like a cotton candy type of
Yeah.
thing. To me, it's almost like a confectioner sugar or a flavored like. I do get maybe a little cherry, and I think it's because you just said it probably, but I get something.
Oh, that was weird. What the hell was that on the palate?
Did you take a sip?
Yeah, I just did. I couldn't wait. I was like, I'm diving in.
So as they're taking a drink, we've got the college game day stuff going on for the national championship. It's tonight. So as you listen to this week, we're watching them warm up for the national championship here.
Yeah, this is sweeter. Like the oak is.
Oh, yeah, that's sweeter.
The oak isn't really as present as the 184 month.
I almost get like a little bubble gum, like traditional bubble gum, not like like a bubble yum or a hubba bubba or something like that.
So
Maybe
kind of like the piece that comes in a pack of Topps cards.
Maybe because of that confection, that sugar, the powdered sugar they put on it. So maybe that's kind of what I'm getting.
I miss the days of cards.
Oh yeah,
It's gonna sound a little bit weird, but maybe just because I haven't drank in like 4 or 5 days. Like praline.
praline.
Oh.
Interesting.
That's like that nutty,
Yeah, yeah.
caramelly like combination.
Isn't that like a
Get it-
baked pecan?
Yeah, basically.
Isn't it allows it to caramelize a little bit, right?
Yeah. It's reminding me of that. My mom, when I grew up, my mom loved praline. She always had like pralines and cream ice cream. That's what it's taking me back to.
I can see that.
Big fan of pralines and cream.
I can see that, but I'm still kind of hovering on the bubble gum on the front of the palate with a sweetness as it goes back. That's almost like confection or sugar.
You're getting like a saccharin note, almost like a
saccharin. That's probably good.
Like a fake sugar note on
Yeah,
it,
that's-
almost.
Yeah, definitely. It's I think a powdered sugar.
Like
on
maybe
the
like
bubble
sweet
gum.
and low, whatever you want to call it.
Bazooka gum.
yeah,
I think that's what. Yeah,
I think that's probably
we're
what
in
I'm
the
getting.
same realm.
Yeah.
We're just
I think you're right.
think of all the fake sugars. That's what it is.
It really hangs out in the mid palate for a while.
It does. This has like better texture than the 184.
I will say the mouthfeel on this one is better, but I
for
think
sure.
I like the palate on the other one better. On the first one.
I like the flavors on the first one better.
That's what I mean.
I like sweet, but I need that oak to balance out sweet.
Yes.
When it's primarily sweet, it's not as exciting to me. When you could give me sweet oak and a nice finish. Now I don't know. Do you know if if it's kind of the same high rye, low rye
Supposedly,
blend?
it's similar to last year. Yes.
Okay.
Last year's has been open for a year. This one has only been open, give or take,
Yeah, it's a little more tame on the palate.
3
than
weeks, 4 weeks,
It's
a
a little
month.
more. It's a little more tame on the palate than the 184. 184, I feel like blasts you in the mouth.
Which is surprising because that's been open for a year.
Yeah, it's still got it.
Yeah, I think I like the mouthfeel on the second one better, but the overall palate on the first one, or the first one better.
Yeah, first one wins for me.
And it's got that little bit of spice at the end. I'm getting it now. Now that I've had this this is a sweetness bomb. So if you really like a lot of sweetness, I'd say you'd probably lean toward the second one. Last year's pick.
The 211, the 109 proof 211 Hardin's Creek, whereas the 184
is a little more balanced.
A little bit more balanced, a little bit more spicy, and I think there's definitely some more oak there.
For sure on the oak, yeah.
You don't get a lot of times. You don't get like a cherry or a strawberry or some like those rich fruit notes on a beam. So when you find them, like you do have in the 184, I feel like those are the ones that keep me more interested, which is why I like the country ham so much. It's one of the few Bookers that actually has like a not only like a super sweet brown sugar, but there's a little like dark fruit in there too.
Now that I just had the first one and went back to the second one, I get a little bit more spice in the second one now. I don't know why, but I still think I like the first one better overall. The nose on this second one was really interesting for sure.
Yeah, the nose I think actually is a little bit more interesting than the first one with the palate. I think it's reversed. Yeah, I really like 184. That's good. I mean, either one, they're both really good, and I think they're good values because they're $160, 170.
Yeah, they're right about 170.
So I mean, you're talking about $10 per year,
yeah.
Maybe even a little less.
They've been one of the companies that have stayed true to pricing and being reasonable.
I think so. I don't want to spend $10 a year, but that being a standard is something I can fall in line with. If I know it's a 15-year and it's $150 and it's a limited release, if it's just a standard 15-year, I probably wouldn't spend $150. But if it's a limited release and it's a 15-year age statement, I think that to me is going to get me off the couch to go get something. Mm-hmm. I'll go pay the money for that.
Yeah, old Overholt 10-year was about $105. The Knob Creek 18 is $180. Knob Creek 12 has been staying at $70.
Yeah. So, I've finally got my first Knob Creek 12.
Nice.
So,
it's a killer bottle.
I can't wait.
So
that
good.
is that is a special bottle. I don't care what anybody says.
Why can we not get it in Ohio anymore?
Well, it just comes in on an allocated basis.
Yeah.
And the thing is,
just sit on the shelf, man.
Surprisingly, Knob Creek 12 sells really fast in Ohio. Mm-hmm. It's like you could put it right up there.
Surprising because it's not.
I remember.
Trace, you mean?
Yeah. For example, I remember one weekend I was like, I was talking to a guy at the liquor store. He's like, I think we're getting Knob Creek 12 in or something like that, and maybe some Buffalo Trace stuff. I'm like, okay, cool. So Knob Creek 12 years. That means I don't have to come early in the morning. Knob Creek 12 should be available when I get there.
It was gone.
I walked in, it was gone. He's like, that's sold out right after the Buffalo Trace stuff. I'm like, that's surprising. I'm like, I'm glad people are realizing what a great bourbon that is.
Well, part of the problem is it hasn't been here, and I bet you that's part of it. Mm-hmm. It's almost like when what was it we didn't have for a minute? The Russells. Was it the Russells that we didn't have for a minute? Yeah. And I think people were freaking out that was going to become an actual thing.
Rarebird wasn't here for a while too.
And I remember on some of the
Rare Breed. What did I say?
Rarebird.
Oh, that's that guy.
Yeah, he wasn't here. You're right.
No.
But no, Rare Breed was and Russells, I think, were one of those things that I feel like people were freaking out on, or like, is this going to be the new normal? So they were, every time it came in, they were just snatching it all up. And I was like, well, all right.
It's sitting on the shelf, Knob Creek 12 at Crown Liquors in Indiana.
You know what else? Is sitting on the shelf here in Ohio now? The Heaven Hill Bottled and Bond.
Yeah, crazy. So good.
I could not believe that. It's just sitting on the shelf.
Yeah.
I remember that was allocated last year.
Mm-hmm.
Every time it came in, it was gone, and now it's just sitting on the shelf. I was like, all right.
So I'd like to get your guys' feedback, because I think this is actually a good question, because we're in this realm talking about Knob Creek 12 year and what a great value it is. I just recently reviewed the new Old Forester 1924.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
You guys heard about this bourbon?
Yeah, 10 years age stated.
So 10-year age stated.
Right. 100 proof.
100 proof. MSRP $115.
Okay.
Well, that's reasonable.
So when
this isn't going to be a permanent edition.
It is.
It is. Are you sure?
Yes.
Because I've heard both.
Part of Whiskey Row.
Yes.
Okay.
I've heard it was just a
according
1 year.
According
release.
to what I've read, this is going to be, because it's got the Whiskey Row labeling.
I knew that, but I thought
it's got the same look.
Okay.
Now it is a permanent extension. However, as far as the availability throughout each and every year, that's to come. We don't really know what that's going to look like
every year.
I think what's going to happen is what we saw with 1910, where as soon as it released, it was gone.
Yeah. And
then it took a while for it to come back, and then it was just kind of sitting on shelves. So I got like some of the best comments and some of the best conversation starters, in the comments. And I love when the viewers like comment and, with some really thoughtful, it's not just, like bullshit, like a lot of comments you get. But I mean, a lot of people were posting really like thoughtful like reactions to the Old Forester 1920. And it really kind of brought me to a realization, I think.
The 20 or the 24?
I'm sorry, the 1924.
Okay.
A realization that people were just like sick and tired of all these limited releases and these high prices, especially that the big distillers are trying to kind of pull over on us. Now, when I reviewed it, I was doing my final breakdown at the end, and I kind of give you a value. And I usually say low value, below average. If it's even, I think it's
right. Yeah.
So I said, based on what Old Forester usually charges, because remember, Old Forester stuff is usually 4 to 6 years old. And they're charging you what 60, 65 for 1920.
I think it's 58.
And even the Old Forester barrel proofs.
Yeah,
I mean
those are like 80.
It was like 80. Those are 45 years old. Those are 4 to 5 year old whiskeys.
And it's hard to find those at that price. You usually find them secondary through groups for like 140, 130.
Yeah. So I said based on that the value for one for 1924, I'm like for 115. I think this is even. I think this is what I would expect Old Forester to come out with.
What was the proof?
100.
Yeah, you said that. Okay, so it's 10 years old, 100 proof, $115 is reasonable.
So 115. So that's what I thought. But man, the comment section
tore it up, or
not that they tore it up, but they said I'm not buying anything from Old Forester for over 100 based on what I have. If I can get 1920 for 60, 1910 for a little bit under 60, and then on top of that, you got people who were like, I'll just do the 1915 for $120.
The Hyman edition.
That's 2 bottles. Yeah, the Hyman.
So here's what I think their thought process is. The price of 1910, 1920, 1897.
Yep, 1870. Yeah.
It's priced in the ballpark where I'm going to take a chance on this, and they've tried it and they like it. Mm-hmm. I think that $115 is getting to the point where it's like
fanboy is what it's going to be. It's going to be someone who's an Old Forester fan.
They're not going to want to just put $120 out there to try it,
unless they're a big Old Forester fan.
Right.
Well, even in 1897, a lot of people say that the bottled and bond is actually high price compared to some of the other bottled and bonds you get on the market, which is a fair viewpoint.
It's right up there with the Heaven Hill
right near
bottled
E.H.
bond.
Taylor.
Yeah, but look at like Evan Williams bottled and bond, Jim Beam bottled and bond.
It's not near E.H. Taylor's price? MSRP.
What was it? What was the H. Taylor small batch? 40,
like $30,
42.
It's like $42 now.
Yeah,
is it 42?
Yeah, it's like $40 now.
Right.
And then the
Heaven Hill bottled and bond is like 60, right?
It's like yeah.
I would get that 7-year Heaven Hill to be honest.
But that's what I'm saying. Like and that's fine.
So to me, there was like a big range. I'm like, all right, guys, because what they were doing was comparing the 1924 Old Forester to, all right, well, I can get McKenna 10-year for 60. I can get Russell's 10-year for 35, 40 in some places. I could get the places that can get Eagle Rare easily. I could just get Eagle Rare that's around 10 years old for MSRP. And I get that not everybody can get those things for that price. But
have you released your review of it yet?
Oh yeah, okay. I released it on Saturday. Like it? I thought it was actually a really nice profile. It didn't blow me away, but obviously it's 100 proof. But I thought for an Old Forester, had some of that banana bread in it. It was very fruit forward, which was surprising to me. Still got that
10 years.
Yeah, I still got that. Well, just for an Old Forester, I really, you always expect the banana to take over.
Yeah.
And while there was some of that there, it didn't really overpower the experience. But on top of that, the more you sip it, the more kind of it falls off. Just because 100 proof to me is a little bit lower than what I normally drink. So, but it was an interesting whiskey to me because I thought it actually delivered a really nice profile. I compared it to 1920 on the video just to see what the differences were. And the new 1920s are just pure banana bread. It lost that chocolate cherry note that I used to love from it.
Yeah, why is that?
I don't know.
You know what would be a fun comparison for that? Signature Bottled and Bond 1924.
Yeah. That's what I'm actually doing Wednesday on my live stream. But I'm throwing in like Russell's 10-year.
Okay.
I just want to see like what happens because I have a sample left, so I'm gonna kind of throw that in there.
Did you see that the guy who was begging for the age-stated maker's mark
The guy.
That guy?
He ranked Old Forester 100 higher.
Does he have a beard?
Than Maker's Mark Cellar.
I know.
I thought that was funny.
But that goes to my point, though. Maker's Mark Cellar age needs to be drank on its own. It dies and blinds.
I just thought it was funny that what do we talk about all the time on this show? Old Forester 100 signature.
Yeah.
And it just always just surprises the hell out of me.
It does.
It's not like super crazy. So I would compare it to, like you said, your description of Jim Beam products. Never super complex, but like rich in what it has.
Exactly.
So like the flavors it has are rich and robust, but it's
consistent.
And consistent, but it's never like super complex in the sense that like as you drink it now and you drink it 10 minutes from now, the drinks in between, it's changing as it goes, but it's consistent and it stays robust. It doesn't like, for example, ancient age, you drink it and you're like, oh, this tastes like Blanton's. And then after 2 or 3 drinks, you're like, okay, it doesn't taste like Blanton's.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that first initial drink, you're like, oh, okay. But then the more you drink it and the more you visit it, it falls flat. Certain bourbons are like that for me.
But the old Forester 1924, the conversation shifted into like this whole, I'm done with these bourbon prices. I'm not paying anymore. I'm just buying what's on the shelf. I'm over it. So I'm like, and there were a lot of comments like that, and I'm like, man.
Well,
after 2023, are people just over it?
Let's talk about that though.
Yeah.
So not just Old Forester, but I feel like every brand, I mean, we're drinking some right now, are really, really hyper focused on these limited editions, limited time offerings.
I would actually leave Knob Creek off the list because
Hardin's Creek, you mean?
I'm sorry, Hardin's Creek, because they're really good values.
No, and we'll but that's still part of the conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, that's their new entry into this limited
3
edition.
bourbons at $100, almost $200. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so my point is that like all of these places, they're still pumping out their regular stuff, and some people might argue that some of their regular stuff is actually falling a little bit.
Yeah.
Because they're cutting into some of that source product that's being fed into that. So maybe they're not letting it age as long or whatever the case may be. I know I've heard things like that with Blanton's and other things, but you know what? So is that indicative what you saw in that thread or in that discussion? Do you think that's going to become so I know there's different levels of bourbon people. So the bourbon chasers probably aren't going to stop. That's not going to get affected unless they just start getting screwed, and then the price for like flipping goes down and things like that. That ROI, that return on investment, if it starts going down, that'll stop. But the true people that enjoy bourbon and are chasing bourbon to drink it, I think nothing's going to shake them at this point, unless something better comes along the line. But those average, regular, everyday people that are getting in on the craze, do you think this is going to slow that down? All these limited releases, do you think it's going to, especially when you taste a whole bunch of stuff and it's just like, it was $120, and
so I think you have a group of people that are into the bourbon hobby that maybe got into it maybe within the last year, maybe a little longer. And 2023, I mean, just for me, like as a reviewer, was exhausting.
Because there were so many new things, right?
So many releases that come out.
But that's what I mean.
You're trying to track them down. And like for me, a guy that has a great network of people out there that helped me get bottles, it was still a pain in the ass. So I can only imagine like somebody just getting into it that's trying to find these bottles and they can't because these guys are lining up and the prices are high. I could see them getting burned out like that. So I do think that there's a specific burnout that's either on the horizon or still coming, but you're still going to have the people with huge wallets that have recently come into the bourbon market that are just buying up whatever they can.
They're stocking up.
Yeah. I saw a guy on secondary. I don't even know who this guy is, but I saw this resale market site, and this guy had a picture of, I forgot what the bottle was. It was something like not that expensive, but behind it, he literally had a shelf with King of Kentucky's and George T. Stagg's, and these things were at least 5-6 deep, and then he had like 4 or 5 rows of it. I'm like, why the fuck does this guy have some? Like, how How is this happening?
How do they get them?
Yeah, how is
Constantly.
he getting this stuff?
I get if a guy gets one once in a while.
Well, that's the thing. Money.
These are
the guys that have a shit ton of money, and they're devoting a lot of their time to either just they have disposable income, they could buy them, or it's a secondary market thing where
it's like throwing your dick on a table and measuring with somebody else.
Yeah, which just doesn't really do it for me. Like, show me something unique you have. Yeah. King of Kentucky actually does impress me. When you have that many, though, it's almost like, okay, there's something weird going on.
So, like, I chuckled when you were talking about the 1924 and people saying, I'd rather have, I can get this for this price and Henry McKenna for $60. I want to know, are these the guys saying Henry McKenna is not worth $60 when comparing it to other stuff, too? Well, that was it now against 1924.
That was my whole thing. It's like, might be the same guys that are buying Blanton's for, $100, and that's a 4-year-old product, but you want the bottle. So I think it also plays into some of the value issues that you get with some of the bigger distillers. When you have such a lineage of bourbons and stuff that's available on the shelf that's at a good price, it's almost like, how dare you bring out something over $100? Yet, how many bottles do we see from smaller distillers that get on the shelf for $100 or more that are maybe not that old, or it's source, and people have no problem buying those? So, I don't know. It's a weird thing that I noticed, and I definitely want to address it in one of my live streams. It's interesting.
I will make the argument that a lot of those smaller distilleries probably have to charge that much at this stage.
Well, that's my
argument.
That's my argument always. You can't compare because of the volume.
Agreed. You can't compare Beam to Woodinville.
Yeah.
Because Woodinville's their volume is fractional to that. So what do you expect? They have to pay their prices. They're probably still paying on stuff that they own. Whereas Beam, they're only paying on new things. Like,
we saw it, guys. The volume that they're making, the amount of barrels, it's insane.
It's the same thing as Buffalo Trace and Heaven Hill, and they're all those big ones are just pumping stuff.
And the Buffalo Trace expansion, everyone's waiting for. They're all going to be
on the shelf.
They're all going to. No, they're not, because Buffalo Trace is still going to hold that shit back because that's what they do.
Yep. Well, what might happen is you might see it spread out across all their brands, that there's a little bit more Eagle Rare. There's a little bit more Weller. There might be a little bit more George T. Stagg, or a little bit more William LaRue Weller.
But it'll never sit on the shelf, because bourbon consumers will never let that happen as long as Buffalo Trace leads the pack in all this craziness.
Taterness.
Real men of taters.
Real men of taters.
I need you to record a couple of those.
I know I do. I got your message. I'm ready.
I've used AI.
I've been trying to.
Is that what you used?
I used AI to get who was it? It was I used AI to do what's her head's voice that did the movie with where she played a singer in the movie. She's a real singer in real life, and she was in the movie with the big actor who was in The Hangover, Lady Gaga.
Oh.
So I did one with Lady Gaga's voice.
Oh, God. Wow, that's crazy.
I took mine and turned it in.
You went high end.
We'll have to live up to.
I'll let you listen to it when
I'm not singing it now after you got Lady Gaga to do it.
Here's the problem.
Bradley Cooper.
Lady Gaga is basically, with my voice, is just spit polishing a turd. You heard my voice, so there's only so much she can do to it.
You could have my version like Milli Vanilli.
If my notes were off to begin with, she's not going to figure out what the notes were supposed to be in the AI version.
So real quick before we get to the Hardin's Creeks, the Kentucky series, one more thing about 1924. It's an interesting release because it's 10 years old, and if you look at, like I said, the stuff that Old Forester has on the shelf, it's only 4 to 6 years old. Obviously, they use heat-cycled warehouses, and they only have 3 other age-stated products from Old Forester, if you think about it. They have Birthday Bourbon, which is age-stated.
President's Choice,
and they have King of Kentucky. I know King of Kentucky is the early times mash bill, but Old Forester actually does still make that mash bill in small quantities, even though they sold it to Sazerac. And apparently 1924 is a blend of those 2 mash bills, because it's an ode to Owsley Brown and the anniversary of him blending different mash bills back in the day. So that's what this 1924 homage is to. So I think that 1924 is actually a blend of the 2 mash bills: the standard Old Forester mash bill with 18% rye, and the early times mash bill, which is, I can't remember, I think it's a lower rye content.
Yeah, I was wondering how they were going to do more Whiskey Row if they ever got to it. Like, what?
Now they have 2 non-heat cycled warehouses, Old Forester. A lot of people don't realize that.
Okay.
So I feel like that's where they're moving their barrels once it hits a certain maturation, because you can't heat cycle anything for like 10 years. It's gonna
it's going to be over oaked.
Yeah, it's going to get over oaked and bitter.
It's going to taste more like a Texas.
I think we're all in a consensus that Old Forester's like sweet spot is 100 proof.
It is.
So I'm all for trying it.
100%.
And I think it actually tastes really good. Now, I said on the review, do not overpay for it. It's not worth the $300 and $350 that guys are trying to sell it for already.
Already?
Oh yeah. Shit. Yeah.
I had a buddy who texted me the other day and said he had won the Daniel Weller in the OHLQ, and wanted to know if one of my friends wanted to buy it for $2,000. I'm like, no, I can tell you now, no. Yeah. $2,000.
I haven't heard anything like.
He hasn't bought it yet, right?
No, he already bought the.
Oh, he bought the bottle.
Well, I believe so.
Well, it was $500 retail, wasn't it?
Yes.
But why? Like who?
I'm thinking he's waiting to pick it up. And he's like, is somebody going to buy it from me? And then he'll go get it.
Daniel Weller selling for $2,000 in the secondary?
Yeah.
Yeah, $2,600.
Well, people are putting it up for that much, yeah.
I've seen them posted for
the cheapest I ever saw it on resale was $1,800.
That's insane.
For a wheat that, or
and the one guy writes, "That's a great price." I'm like, "You're a lunatic."
Right.
For a wheat that we've never tasted.
Yeah, for a weeder that you know. But again, these are the guys that are going to put it on the shelf, and it's a trophy.
Yep.
That's not something they would share.
You can't use the compass if it's just sitting there unopened.
That's true. You can't use the damn compass.
Drink it, refill it with something else.
I want the compass.
Yeah.
You want the cork?
Let's jump into the Hardin Creek.
It's Hardin Creek time, baby. Let's go.
I say we start with Frankfurt.
Well, no, let's go in the order they were released.
Okay, so Claremont,
Frankfurt, okay. Boston.
All right, Claremont first. So open up the Claremont.
Do we need more glasses?
Do you want fresh glasses?
I just rinsed mine out with water.
Oh yeah, I'll just do that. That's fine.
I've got fresh if you need them.
No, I'm good. This one's empty because I blended them. Thanks, man.
Mm-hmm.
While he's rinsing, grab the Claremont 10. Be careful. No, that's the Frankfurt. That's the one on the left here.
Yeah, that's the Claremont.
We put them in order. Now, I will say, these are fancy bottles. I love the bottles.
Love the bottles,
and I love the like you mentioned earlier. They come in a 10. Mm-hmm. It's a flimsy 10, but I don't care about that. It looks nice. And it's got a booklet, right, with information about the release. Vanna White over here is showing us. And as JD mentioned earlier, it's got a very, very hefty, what do you call it, bottle stopper cork, which I love. I love when they've got, and again, what are you going to do with them when they're done? I mean, I don't know. But it's a very hefty cork, and I love that. So, Jason, you brought the Claremont tonight.
That's I
have the other two.
It'll be interesting to see what my results are tonight, because when I blinded it for my top of the year, the Claremont was actually my favorite.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But I do like the Boston, too, a lot.
The Boston was really good.
Yeah, we had
having that on that tour that we did is what put me into freaking Hardin's Creek mode. I was like, all right, once I saw them, I was like, okay.
That tasting put me on the lookout for Little Book 3.
I'm starting off small, and we'll see. I might have to revisit.
That Little Book 3 was delicious.
The lid's not on very good, so just...
The lid.
Jason, you were spot on with that pick.
Which one?
Little Book 3, at the end. That was good.
Oh, you guys, that's right. You guys went back to that. What did I do? I had...
Baker's 13?
Yeah, I did a Baker's 13. That's what I did.
The Little Book, that's a special... That Little Book is a special bottle. You're just not going to have all those different bourbons of cask strength blended together. I mean... Yeah. You never get Basil Hayden at cask strength, ever.
So, have you guys had the Basil Hayden malted rye?
I haven't had it yet.
It was sitting in the...
It's always sitting in the store. Okay. But I haven't bought it yet.
I was going to say, it's sitting at Giant Eagle in Parkway. I didn't know if you were not able to find it, you just hadn't looked, or what, so...
I was surprised by that Basil Hayden toast. I liked it.
Yeah, it was all right.
Basil Hayden toast?
It was okay.
I think it's an okay... whiskey for people that are looking to try something toasted.
Listen, that was my first entry into Basil Hayden, other than the rum, the Caribbean rum when they did. What was it called?
Basil Hayden did a rum?
It wasn't a rum. It was a rum finish. What was it? Jason, you know what I'm talking about.
The wild turkey?
No. Basil Hayden did a Caribbean rum finish or something.
Yeah, but that was a blended whiskey. They literally poured rum in it.
whatever. My point is that was the first Basil Hayden I've ever had. The Toasted was the second Basil Hayden I've ever had in my life. I have a Basil Hayden bottle sitting back there. Although I think I actually gave it away to someone as a gift. Anyway, so I don't think I have any Basil Hayden actually. So I may have the rye back there.
What I find kind of nuts is their 10-year Basil Hayden 80 proof is $80.
Well, I mean,
if you're going by price point for a year,
that's cheap. But what is it still 80 proof?
It's just not a great experience. It doesn't overwhelm you.
Some people loved it and they were buying it. When it first came out, it was disappearing off the shelves fast. All right, what do you get on the nose on this, man? I get that. To be honest, I get a little bit of that confectioner sugar, but I get some oak in the background. Mm-hmm. These are all 17 years, right? So the idea behind the Hardin's Creek releases of the locational releases, you've got Claremont, Frankfurt, and Boston. They took and they distilled the bourbon, the same for all three of these, and then they shipped them off to different places to age, right, for 17 years? Uh-huh. So these are all 17-year-old
They're
bourbons.
also these. So it's a cool story. All these bourbons are 17 years old. The barrels were all filled at the same exact day, at the same exact proof.
Just shipped
but
to
they
different
were just put in different locations. They were aged for 17 years in those different locations to see exactly
what
very
the
similar.
geography
Yeah,
would
kind
do
of
to
a play on what Wild Turkey does with the single rick house.
Yeah,
where you just can kind of discover the different flavor profiles of each rick house.
Now, these are batched, right? So do we know the sizes of each one of these batches?
No, that's what I remember offhand.
20 barrels,
But,
10
there was a good
barrels,
amount of
15.
bottles. There was a good amount of bottles for these, from
Yeah.
what I imagine, yeah.
Okay.
I kind of get like a rick housey type smell or nose.
That was what I loved about the Claremont.
Like when you
it
first
smelled
just
like
walk
rick
into
house.
a rick
Yeah.
house. Yeah. I do get that. You're right. It's almost like that. My first experience ever walking into a rick house, guess where it would be? Most of you are going. I mean, it's not. It's
Wild Turkey?
No.
New Riff?
No. The OFC at Buffalo Trace.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So that was the first time I ever. So Trina and I went on a tour.
A tour?
I said that for Tyler's sake. So we went on a tour there. It was on our way down to Nashville for her birthday, for her 40th birthday. And so we were on our way down to Nashville. I convinced her to stop. We stopped. And this was the reason I had her stop and do this. I was just getting into bourbon at the time. And our friends left after we did. And I needed to give them time to pass us and get to Nashville before us and set up for her birthday. Because she didn't know. She thought it was just her and I going on a trip. She didn't know that it ended up being a surprise party. And we had a weekend down in Nashville with our friends. And so they got to the Airbnb first, and only because we stopped and did this tour at Buffalo Trace. But anyway, the first time I walked into the OFC, I fell in love.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And Trina was like, yeah, this smells awesome. And just getting to Buffalo Trace. Like, if you're going to go somewhere for the very first time, Maker's Mark, Buffalo Trace, I mean, those are amazing.
Dude, any rick house you walk into for the first time, just that first time you smell it, there's nothing like it.
But think about that very first experience going to a distillery. Mm-hmm. Buffalo Trace's campus is amazing because it looks old and it smells amazing.
Yeah, coincidentally, my first walk into a warehouse was actually at Buffalo Trace.
Same.
Yeah.
I was on the Hard Hat tour, E.H. Taylor tour.
Oh, yeah.
And felt like I was walking through like the Industrial Revolution in the back parts of that.
But Maker's Mark's
distillery.
just pure beautiful.
Maker's Mark's is beautiful,
Yeah,
too. That limestone rick house.
Yeah. And then, what
So interesting.
Can you think of any other, like the Jim Beam one was pretty neat.
The Jim Beam one was really cool.
Stitzel Weller has a really cool
Stitzel Weller,
campus.
that's a cool one, even though it's not really too much of a functioning distillery anymore. But it was a cool.
But you can see
tour.
the history there.
Yeah, that was cool.
I mean, Heaven Hill's rick houses are, they remind me a lot of.
But when you get to Heaven Hill, you don't just smell.
Yeah,
you just
it's
don't smell the mash.
because it's so like
spread
fast.
out. Yeah.
Well, they don't distill there, right?
Yeah, but just being in Bardstown is just those rick houses.
Driving.
Just driving.
But I
through,
think
you can
that's
smell
from
it.
17. I think that's from Barton.
Yeah.
I honestly think that's from Barton.
Barton's rick houses I've been in, and they remind me a lot of the Buffalo Trace warehouses.
Yeah.
And they smell amazing.
Unique distillery was in Bardstown.
So we all agree this smells like a rick house, basically.
Yeah, it smells like a rick house, but I feel like the palate has a little bit more balance to this one on the Claremont, which is why I probably liked it. It's more of like that. It kind of brings me back to the 184 Hardin's Creek, where you got some really nice spice to it.
Yeah, there's
just
some
a
good
nice
spice on the
oak
back end.
there. A little bit of dark fruit punch, but nothing.
Nailed it.
Have you
Yeah.
had this before?
Not this one.
Neither have I.
I had Boston.
Oh, you've only had the Boston, just like I've had the Boston and the Frankfurt.
Did you tell Jason how you got the one?
I did, but I'm not supposed to mention that. So, yeah. So the Boston one I found when I got home, and I was just like, "We just tasted this. I'm buying this." And the other one, I happened upon.
Yes.
In a way that I cannot mention. So, the Claremont is not mine. That one's Jason's. The other two are mine. So I was hoping he could bring that today, which
Yeah.
he was able to. So that's good.
Thank you.
Big fan of the Claremont.
This is really that's a
This is
good way
really
to
good.
Really
describe it.
nice.
It's very very balanced.
It's just super balanced. It doesn't go
Good spice at the end. It doesn't. It has a good finish, but it's not like some crazy long, like lingering finish. That
Yeah,
gives
again,
me-
110 proof. It has a really nice
Yeah.
proof point, but I feel like you get a lot of flavor on the Claremont. It's like when you compare it to. So think of out of the two Hardin's Creeks we had, which one was your favorite? And like compare it to the Claremont, you find it similar or different?
I'd
say it's more similar.
I think
Similar?
it's more similar to the 184.
Yes.
The first year,
The one that we liked, yeah.
Yeah, then the 211, which was a lot sweeter, which we
Yes.
thought, yeah. So,
But I do have some similarities on the nose to the second one with this Claremont release, but the palate's more similar to the first one.
Yeah, I can
of
see
the,
that.
of the Jacobs Well to me.
I just love it. Yeah, I'm a huge fan. I think this is a killer release.
This is good.
From Beam. I think Beam, like I said, Beam killed it this year.
I'm
I think
saving a little
them
bit back on this
and
one.
Jack Daniels are kind of like my top distilleries from 2023. Jack just killed it this year.
Well,
last
I
year,
mean,
too.
they've really embraced the single barrels, and now they've got the ryes coming out, and
the Riser Shelfers now,
and then age stated. They did some age stated stuff this year.
age
Jack
stated.
Daniels.
They did a 10 to 12. They did a twice barreled rye. They did a what's the Jack the bonded rye that was what, like a $30 bottle.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they did really good stuff too.
Yeah, I
Did you
think
say the barrel proof rye?
The barrel proof rye, yeah, the ones that are shelfers now.
Yeah.
Which is nice. I mean, they're not completely shelfers because people buy them up fast.
I got an early release of those. I found it in Tennessee, and I want to say it was 135.3 proof.
wow.
I just did. I was just there. I did two picks. We picked 2 barrels.
Nice.
Oh man, I cannot wait. They're
should go.
so stupid good.
Yeah, I hadn't visited a Jack Daniels in a while, and I was going to the gym. We were having our first Friday of the month. I hadn't been there in a while, so I was like, I'm going to go. I took a bottle of Jack Daniels, and holy cow, I forgot how good those are.
Yeah.
If you look, you need to go in my little room over there and look at my discards. I need to get them out I need to take a picture so I can get them off my Excel spreadsheet. But there's like 7 bottles in there that I've killed since New Year's.
Really?
Yeah, just little anchors that I was just like, okay, I got to make room.
Yeah,
I've got to make room for stuff.
Saving a couple pours of, and you're just like, all right.
And oh my god,
You kind of have to do that eventually. I mean, I was doing it, but I mean, most of the ones I left over.
It kills me when I get to the last drink of a certain bottle sometimes.
I gambled on a Jack Daniels on my trip to Georgia too. I picked up a 375 of one of their distiller collection ones, and it's the one that's finished in like toasted pecan wood chips.
Oh, that one's really good.
Is it?
Yeah,
I scored on that.
I like that one.
So you haven't opened it yet?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'll have to bring it.
Yeah.
it.
Actually, Jack Daniels sent me the one when we were there doing the pick, and we actually were watching it getting bottled, and they sent me that one. It was the sherry finish one.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Which was an interesting to have Jack Daniels on a sherry finish was kind
Yeah.
of cool.
It was either that or
Hey,
it was
there's
the
a
tequila finished one.
Clean glass right behind that Hardin's Creek bottle right there.
Well, I'm good. I'll watch this out. I'm making a Hardin's Creek Infinity blend.
Okay, fair enough.
So
All right, so we're moving on now to the Frankfurt
The
release.
Infinity Glen.
I opened this last week just to give us a. Do you unsnap it? Oh,
yeah, you want to snap it?
I didn't snap it.
I just pull it over.
Fold it over. It's like
It's
something
like
you
having
usually do.
sex in the back of a car.
It's
You
like
just
how you.
pull down the pants to your knees.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it's like how dude zips his pants, not
Yeah.
all the way, just a little bit.
It's like when you see a toddler take a leak at the urinal. They pull their
my
pants down to their
God.
ankles.
You want to hear a funny
It's like,
story?
what are you doing?
Want to hear a funny
When are
story
your
really
parents going to
quick?
step in and tell you the real way to do it?
Want to hear a funny story really quick?
I do. I'm always for hearing a funny story.
But usually, I know you say when I say that, usually it's not going to be
I'm
funny.
not saying
but we're going to judge
I'm just
this.
saying most people, when they say, "Oh, I've got a funny story,"
It's usually not funny.
You've earned some equity with the Real Men of Taters thing, so we'll see if this stays.
So we were driving out to Western Michigan, Holland, Grand Rapids area. Had my kids. They were young. My youngest, Conrad, was
trying to pour it with the cork on. I caught that.
it doesn't work very well.
He's like, that's not going to work.
It took him a second. Too.
Where did it go?
He was smacking the bottom of it like it was ketchup.
Why is it coming out?
It's like those ketchup bottles look so full, pour so empty. So we stop at the beach, and Conrad, my youngest, is I want to say 4 at the time, and he's like, "Dad, I gotta go to the bathroom. I'm like, 1, 2, 1. Just go in the lake. Everybody else does." Doesn't walk into the lake, drops swimsuit, standing there. I see him. I'm like, oh my God, look. Hey, whose kid is this?
You just pull his pants on and
started peeing full stream in the lake, into the lake.
That's good. Now that's a real kid of genius.
You know what though? Like the fish do it. I don't know what people like. It's not a pool. Which, first off, you're in a pool, that thing's freaking doused in chlorine anyway. But like, a pool is at least a small body of water. A lake is something that everything is taking a dump into. You know, your boats are dumping into it nonstop. People, fish, whatever. Whatever.
It's a big lake.
It is.
Lake Michigan's big. It's a big toilet.
Oh, Lake Michigan.
Yeah.
I don't think I caught that part. Wow. Okay.
All right. Nose this one. I don't get the sweetness on the nose that I got on the first one.
So from when I reviewed it, if I remember, and this goes back to what JT was saying earlier about this being a little bit more floral.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot more spice in this one than the Frankfurt.
So was this aged at Old Granddad? Warehouses?
In Frankfurt?
Yes.
I believe so. But
well,
I don't know exactly if that's true or not.
It doesn't tell you the location. It just says place.
It just says Frankfurt.
It's a lot sweeter than Claremont on the nose.
So for the first one,
I think it's sweet and spicy.
The Claremont, it says...
I get Pixie Stick.
Oh, I like that one.
So for the Claremont,
Take
it says, the microclimates shaped by the rigid and rolling hills define the area around Claremont and the liquid that was aged here. And then it says, I love how they say rack instead of Rick.
Yeah, they say rack house.
Which I think's funny.
And they also don't say, we use this bourbon. They say liquid stream.
Yeah.
Which drives me nuts.
Like rack.
Rack, as in like nice rack.
Yeah.
So they say, in a rack house, oh, that'd be a nice shirt. A bourbon shirt that just says nice rack. Oh. With like a bourbon glass on it, like a Glencairn, and it just says nice rack.
Oh, I like that a lot.
That's not bad.
I don't get it. Rack house.
Or a barrel. It may not have a Glencairn, but a barrel. It says, in a rack house swathed by thick woodland, Claremont took on a warmth that may as well have come from the strong Kentucky sun itself. And then, so this one, Frankfurt, says, climate, humidity hangs heavy at our campus in Frankfurt, seeming to slow the passage of time itself. It only makes the whiskey better. And then it says, for place, there's less ventilation in the rack houses in Frankfurt, which allows the liquid to age at its own pace and take on a subtle campfire and cigar box nose. I don't get the campfire nose.
I don't.
You know what? Actually, I do. The first one, I got a sweeter nose. This one's a lot more of a, I would say more tobacco to me.
I get tobacco.
But campfire, I could maybe see that, like the burning of the wood.
Yep.
I don't get oak necessarily, but I get like tobacco or burning wood.
I get it when I really get in there.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, when I remember getting like a lot of tobacco and spice when I had it. And,
so you said tobacco as well. Okay.
I don't know if I said tobacco when I first. I just got a lot of spice. I remember when it was
Spice
very
is a good word.
very savory forward to me.
That it does seem more savory.
Which I mean, you can get into cigars. There were spicy cigars that get into that point too.
Yeah,
the darker ones.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, and then it says discover taste the rich yet floral tobacco notes.
Floral.
That humidity and time imbue. It may be aged for 17 years, but its soul is even older.
That was that was the first thing I smelled when I reviewed this. I was like floral and spice. That's what I got.
You sound like Morgan Freeman when you read that. That was
you
pretty
did.
Good.
You did kind of. You should do some like audiobooks.
You should hear I used to do voiceovers for a lot of my video stuff that we would do in the past. So they would send me a whole bunch of stuff, and I would edit it, do some Final Cut Pro stuff, and they're like, "Hey, just go ahead and record the voiceover." So I would always do this more like, you know how you do your radio voice thing.
Yeah.
I have this voiceover voice that I do, and I'm a little nasally right now because I'm just a little stuffy, but when I do it, I've had people come back to me. I did it for you should see some of the videos I did that are just stupid for Unicorn Nation apparel. You know, Tony, you'd never met Tony, but we have a guy. What was the Dos Equis guy? He was the most
interesting man in the world.
Yeah, and so
that guy.
So we did a take on that, but it wasn't most interesting man in the world. It was most something man in the world, and I can't remember what word we used. But we did and we used a lot of the Chuck Norris quotes, and then we would then go to him, and he'd be standing there doing something, or he was in the middle of something. He actually only has 9 toes. So one of the things we did was like he wrestled an alligator in the Amazon and lost his toe or whatever. But and then there was another one where he's landing on the moon, and we took a footprint of him on the beach and made it look like the moon. And it said the people landing on the moon was like, one small step for man. Oh shit. Houston, we have a problem, and then it shows that there was someone already there before them. Like basically that he was at the moon before everyone else.
I dig it.
So we did a whole series of those for our Unicorn Nation apparel
Love
stuff, and they were good.
It's a good idea.
But anyway, I was doing that stuff. So I didn't know that you didn't know that I edit video.
No,
that's funny.
I'm
I'm an amateur.
I'm in the market for it.
I'm an amateur for sure.
Chuck Norris doesn't get COVID. He gives COVID Chuck Norris.
There's so many good ones of those. I've read some new ones that I'm like, God, I've got to redo this whole series.
Yeah.
But yeah, we actually had a lot of people loving those videos. But anyway, all right, let's go to palette on this one. So again, we're in the Frankfurt here, and this one definitely a little bit more spice forward in my opinion.
Yeah,
but it's good.
It's good.
It's really
delicious.
Good.
I do like the spice of this one.
Yes.
Yeah, sometimes I don't. And this one I really do. I really enjoy the spice on this.
I think it's a nice not to get a fancy word here, but it's a nice amalgam of spice where you have. It doesn't almost just come off as just like rye and pepper.
Yeah.
You have there's like a little cinnamon in there. There might be a little bit of like a.
I think that
peppery, like basil note almost.
That's a good description.
Like the big red cinnamon.
Just a lot of spice, not just one thing.
Not just one.
Not like baking
black
spice
pepper,
in your face, but like
I feel like it's like a combination of different spices.
I like how the spice doesn't escalate and get more intense. It's kind of there and it just holds.
Yeah, and it finishes strong.
It does
in a good way.
It definitely has the best finish, I think, out of all three. Well, we'll get to the Boston, but
wow, yeah,
this one has a really nice spice to it. Really good finish. I think it lingers, but I don't know. In my opinion, it doesn't have the complexity that Claremont has.
Maybe.
I think this is like it's like a boxer that comes in with like 2-3 really good punches, knocks you out, and then it's done. Whereas Claremont just jabs you to death with a lot of different flavors.
Well, we're doing 1, 2, 3 now, and then I'm going to revisit them 3, 2, 1, and see what I end up with. But yeah, so far I'm actually I'm
liking
enjoying
the Frankfurt
a little bit. Yeah, and it may just be because I'm having it second. But so far, yes, I'm liking it a little bit better, I think. But again, that's why I'm going to reverse the
JT,
trend.
you like this one over the Claremont? You like that spice?
I like Frankfurt better than Claremont.
Yeah.
This is my jam.
And you know why? And it
stuff.
actually surprises me that you don't like this one better too, because how much you like your finishes.
Me too, but I just because like Claremont does have a finish to it, but it's more of a complex finish.
Yeah,
this is the spice finish, which I do like.
Yeah, no, I get that. I get what you're saying.
For 17 years, none of these are over oak so far,
which is crazy, right?
Yeah,
it's nice. These have to be. I mean,
how is that? How is that bottom?
Probably bottom of the rick house.
Yeah,
you would think
it's got to be right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only way you can avoid over oaking, overheat.
And just because it says Claremont or Frankfurt, it doesn't mean that it moved around different rick houses if they had to.
Yeah.
You know, it could just, that's the campus.
Yeah.
But we don't know exactly.
Sure.
What if it was getting too, as they're tasting it,
Then they
it's
just
getting too much?
They just set it in an air conditioned room and back in
yeah, you don't know. But
The maker cellar age, just store it somewhere low.
calling on makers, can we use your limestone warehouse for a little bit?
Can we? They have a freezer that just stops all the aging.
Put it in
This is
Jim Beam
perfect.
Coy Hill and took it out after
This
3
is
years.
perfect, but we need it to be 17 years, so we're going to put it in a freezer and
In a freezer.
halt the aging. Well, because what do they say? Like once it gets below 30, the aging process kind of stops.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it probably oxidizes a little bit still, but at least the oak aging portion of it.
My experimental 5-liter barrel is actually in the garage right now.
Yeah, trying to get it cold again.
Trying to suck or pull all of that liquid out of the wood back into it.
I put my wife in the garage the other day for that same reason.
She was a little too cold.
I was trying to get her to suck all the liquid out of it.
Wow.
Wait, what?
Cold wife.
What happened?
I had a buddy of mine that wanted to get his license plate on his car that says cold wife, but only because she's always cold,
I thought you
not because
kinda-
she's a cold wife.
I thought you kind of wanted the rigor mortis feeling or something.
No.
And she's like, don't you dare put that on your car. No cold wife. That just sounds like I'm a bitch.
I have two jokes about Trina. One of them is she's dead inside.
So it is rigor.
But she truly does have like emotions and stuff. But like she hides it the best she can.
Yeah.
So like I always joke about her being dead inside.
Yeah.
The other one is Hurricane Katrina, and because anytime she does anything, it's just like when she's done, it's a fucking like whirlwind happened. So like she just makes pre-made foods that we order from Fit Fresh, and just preparing a pre-made meal, I come up when she's done and the kitchen is a wreck. I'm like, what? You just throw it in the microwave. What? Why is there just shit all over? It's strewn about.
Got to make it look like I'm putting effort into this.
Maybe that could be. I could be
Boston.
Let's do it up. I'm ready. I've got an empty glass ready to go. So we got Boston, our final release of the Hardin's Creek series.
Got Baston.
And it's weird. Every time I open up the 10, I hear someone say Baston. And it sounds kind of like Ben Affleck. It's weird.
They got a whole unique dialect up there in Boston.
Oh, they do. I worked in Boston for a long time.
I have a good buddy of mine who was a Boston cop, and I swear every other word's fuck.
Oh, yeah. That's like part of that's just honestly, that's like when you hear a guy who gives a speech and you hear them just like, in Boston, that word is fuck.
Gotcha.
That makes sense.
So, like, if you hear a speech in Boston, instead of being, they're just like, fuck. they're pausing, filler is fuck.
Yeah.
So.
Gotta love it. Well, I actually was listening to your recent episodes and going through, like, your bourbons of the year.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty cool to listen to. JT's list was pretty interesting because he does, like, weird shit.
All of my... If you notice, all of my bourbons of the year were pretty much shit you brought to me.
Yeah. I was like, kind of glad I had a hand in that.
I brought him that. I brought him that. I brought him that.
Single Rickhouse.
Single Rickhouse, Michter's 10.
The Four Roses limited edition this year.
Yeah,
Henderson County.
Yep.
Yeah, so I had a really good year, I feel like, this year and it was mostly because of you, but I had a really good year of tasting just a lot of really good stuff. And I think part of it is you, but also part of it is because, like you said, there were things this year that you're used to not being very good, coming back to being good again this year, like the Michter's 10.
It was a great year of bourbon in 2023.
How did the Michter's end up?
Finished fourth in my list.
Oh, the Michter's 10?
Yeah, Michter's 10 year finished fourth. I actually thought it would be my bourbon of the year, and it definitely has that.
What was your bourbon of the year?
The Single Rickhouse.
Okay.
Russell's.
What were your 2 and 3?
Camp Nelson F.
Camp Nelson F was my number 1. Number 2 was Elijah Craig C923.
Okay.
Number 3 was Four Roses 135th. And number 4 was Michter's.
So 2 of those 3 were on my list.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, I love doing the end of the year blinds and really seeing how stuff falls because you just never know.
Mine weren't blinds, obviously, but they were like so memorable to me.
Well, yeah, I mean, if it's memorable, I mean, that's fine. Look, listen, however people want to do it, there's no right or wrong way. It's whatever you feel was the most impactful. And, you know, we talk about it all the time. It could be even if it's an environment you're in that made that bourbon so special.
A night you were having.
Yeah, that could be the bourbon of the year, and that's fine. I mean, it is what it is.
As long as you tell people that. Like, I was having a blast that night. We were having a really good time. Let's nose this last one. We're a little over an hour, so I wanted to keep it, you know.
Yeah, keep it somewhat.
And then we can start watching the game.
I'm going to try the Infinity blend here soon, too.
Jason, have you gotten into any Frey Ranch?
Yeah, we're actually supposed to do a pick this year.
Nice. Colby's a cool dude.
Yeah.
So while we're nosing this, on the record, who do you think's winning the national championship tonight? Washington or Michigan?
Who do I think's going to win? Who do I want to win?
Well, both.
I want Washington to win because obviously I don't want Michigan to win being in Columbus. But I don't know. Michigan has this weird thing when everything happens for them this year.
It's like the year where Ohio State won against Miami.
Exactly.
Just
everything fell into place. It's that type of year.
It is.
If they don't win tonight, I'd actually be really surprised if they don't. Because I just feel like everything, you know, it's us against them and all that shit. And they're all, I don't know. I just feel like everything is kind of just. And like you said, they were showing highlights of some of the previous games, and every single little bounce
went their way.
And
I'm just waiting for tonight for every bounce to go not their way.
Well, that would be
amazing.
That's what you want. That's what you hope for.
They had no business winning that Alabama game with their miscues. But Alabama had the same miscues. I'm like, what the hell is going on? Alabama was having bad snaps all game.
But Michigan's miscues didn't cost them anything where it did for Alabama.
But they should have, is what I'm saying.
But that's the reason why I think they're going to win tonight.
Right.
Because when things should happen but don't, you gotta have a little luck and magic when you're
not wrong.
When you're into that championship
I'm just waiting for the whole house of cards, someone to pull out that bottom joker on the bottom row of the house of cards and for it to all collapse tonight.
The amount of growth I've seen Michael Penix Jr. since leaving Indiana.
That's what I'm hoping.
They haven't faced this type of Michael Penix quarterback.
They have faced him.
He had Indiana, but he didn't have the weapons he has here.
No. And he looked so good against Texas.
I talked to my dad a couple of days ago. I said, Michael Penix Jr. reminds me of Michael Vick when he was at Virginia Tech. The way he throws the football, how he moves, he's got legs.
Yeah.
He's got that, what's his name, O'Bunzy or O'Dunsey? O'Dunsey. I mean,
I was just stirring the pot. No, honestly, I think he's a great quarterback for many reasons, one of which is he's not afraid to run. And I think every great quarterback has the ability to pull it down and run. Like John Elway, Michael Vick's a great example of that. I think Michael Vick's a very underrated quarterback.
Yes.
One of my favorites was Warren Moon, and then Randall Cunningham.
Yeah.
Loved Randall Cunningham. Watching him be able to get out of the pocket and then still make a throw while he was on the run. Like the defense would just break down while he's out of the pocket, and then everyone would just kind of collapse on him, and all of a sudden, whoop, right there to the next.
Archie Manning was the same way.
Archie Manning was pretty good.
But he's got wheels. He can run.
Here's the thing.
He can check off people.
If you don't have a good offensive line, you can't just be a good pocket quarterback. Like look at who's the guy in Chicago?
Justin
Fields. Great quarterback in the pocket if he needs to be. But he's never got time. So everyone's giving him shit, and they're talking about spending. They've got the 1st and the 9th pick of next draft.
Caleb Williams, come on.
Caleb Williams is trash.
He's going to be a bust.
He's trash.
You heard it here.
He's going to be Ryan Leaf.
Yeah.
He's going to be Ryan Leaf.
Which one?
Caleb Williams.
He's
going to be the next Ryan Leaf.
Why would you want that on your team?
No, but just the comments he's made.
His fingernails?
They're almost identical to Ryan Leaf coming into the NFL.
Yeah,
he did nothing this year. And they looked better without him in the bowl.
Yes.
Like, it was like, why wasn't that guy playing all year long?
He hurt his stock staying this year and not going last year.
So here's my biggest thing is if you don't have a good offensive line, you better be able to run. And if you do have a good offensive line and you can run, holy shit, look out.
Well, according to coaches these days, they're saying that, I mean, obviously we know quarterbacks are hard to come by, but mainly
you don't want them to run because they can get hurt.
Offensive linemen are actually becoming hard to come by.
Right.
Like really good offensive linemen.
But here, my point is Chicago, don't get rid of Justin Fields.
No.
Use your 1st and 9th pick to get a good wide receiver and a good offensive lineman.
You can get Marvin Harrison Jr. one.
And then get a good offensive lineman.
Yes.
And Marvin Harrison Jr. has worked with Fields. Like, even though he played with him, I think, for maybe 1 year.
Even if not him, he got
Rose Bowl.
neighbors down in LSU.
Fields isn't staying with Chicago, I don't think.
He should.
His
His last 4 or 5 games, he looked phenomenal.
He did
And
look
not
good.
just his quarterback rating was good. He didn't fumble as much. But but that's my point. These rash decisions to get a new quarterback, if you don't fix the problems you're having, Fields is a good quarterback.
What if the Browns had 30 quarterbacks?
Oh, at least.
And then what happens? They come in and they get Flacco, who can't move.
Well, I mean, there's not
Flacco
even...
is
There's not,
and he looks
fantastic.
fantastic.
But there, honestly, there's not that many great quarterbacks in the league these days.
There's
either.
really not.
I mean, Justin Fields isn't that great of a quarterback, but because of the competition,
But
he
here's-
actually looks really good right now.
But here's
Pat
the thing.
Mahomes doesn't look very
If
good right
Patrick
now.
Mahomes doesn't look good.
If you gave Fields an offensive line and one more target on offense, I think he would be outstanding.
Well, his bugaboo, they say, is like he's not accurate as much as. But I mean,
But I would disagree. Like
you
watching
could-
that
you
game
could
last
say
night,
that.
holy cow, he was threading needles.
No, I understand, but
I
he's
think
not.
he's accurate.
But he hasn't really been that consistent throughout
My
the
biggest
year.
argument and the reason why I don't think he's very consistent is he held the ball too long.
Well, yeah, for sure.
And so, then when he'd have to throw it, it was a rush throw because the offensive line was breaking down by then.
But C.J. Stroud is like breaking the
Stroud
molds,
is,
man.
Stroud is
And you know who looks
freaking
terrible?
phenomenal.
Bryce Young.
Bryce Young.
Oh,
is-
yeah.
Well, I wouldn't
But why?
judge him yet.
But why is he
That
looking
guy
so-
has 1
The
second.
team, the offensive line.
That guy has
That's
one.
what I mean.
That poor bastard has 1 second to throw the ball.
Right, that's what I mean.
And he's dead.
That's what I mean.
And his best receiver is Adam Thielen.
How many
Yeah.
great quarterbacks have we missed out on because teams put too much stock on quarterback and not enough on the line?
Look at the best example in the world is that poor bastard Andrew Luck on the Colts.
Yeah,
That guy was a specimen,
he could
and
run.
he
could throw,
and he talked like John Madden, which was amazing.
yeah.
He sounded like John Madden, but that
He should
guy
have been the
got
next.
killed.
He should have been the next Peyton Manning.
This guy
he
snaps
should have
the
been
ball
the
to
next
this guy.
everything.
He should have been the next. Who's John Elway?
Yeah, he had like Peyton Manning's mind,
Yeah.
John Elway's legs, and he could freaking launch the ball.
He had Michael Vick's arm
Yeah,
strength.
I mean, he was a specimen, but the guy got freaking murdered because
Yeah.
the Indianapolis Colts never got offensive line.
And that's what I mean. But that's what I would love to be a general manager of a football team for 5 years just to see. Like, listen, you have a quarterback, and here's the thing that bugs
Listen,
me.
guy, anyone's listening that knows any general manager jobs?
But here's-
Dude's still looking.
I'm
Hey,
unemployed.
he wants
I'm
to-
unemployed.
Yeah, give him a shot. Give
Listen,
dude a shot.
When you look at historically in the NFL, some of the best teams had average quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And you have a field general who just doesn't make mistakes and can throw decently, and you give him a good offensive line and a great defense, you're going to win.
Didn't Trent Dilfer get a
I was just going to
Trent
say.
Dilfer, yeah, Trent
Takes it back
Dilfer's
to
a great
Trent
example.
Dilfer, and who's the other one?
Who's the
Steve
one from
McNair.
who was the one from Tampa that wasn't
Yes, that's the one.
was it Sean King?
No.
No, that's not a quarterback's name, is it?
I thought Tampa was Dilfer.
No. Well, he might have won there, but I thought
Who
I thought
was
he
the one
with
that
the
won with
Ravens.
Baltimore?
I thought he was at the
Wasn't that
Ravens.
Dilfer with the
Well,
Ravens?
Flacco won it.
Steve
Flacco won
McNair?
the Ravens.
But I think Dilfer won his at the Ravens, I thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But there was a guy at Tampa that was just a so-so quarterback.
Yep.
That
Brad
won,
Johnson.
and it
That's who it
and
was, Brad
They're
Johnson.
amazing defense.
Brad
Yeah.
Johnson.
They had a sick defense that, killed it.
Tony
But
Dungy's
that's what
team.
I mean. Like, but that's what I'm saying. Like, there's plenty of examples of average.
Is that guy's last name Fosho?
Ulo Fosho.
Ulo Fosho.
Faux show.
That's my favorite player right now. Number 5 on Washington. Fosho.
But my favorite thing to see is when a so-so quarterback wins a Super Bowl because they have an amazing team. That's when you know a general manager did his job.
I got to say, I might be switching to the Boston.
Yeah,
Peyton Manning.
This Boston's
Big forehead.
It's really good.
A lot of brain in Peyton Manning. Big forehead.
It's bigger now than it was when he was in Tennessee.
His head's like Sputnik.
He's got all those plays stored up in there.
It's like an orange on a
It's like
toothpick.
an orange.
On a
It's
toothpick.
like Sputnik.
I'm not kidding. He'll be crying himself to sleep tonight on his huge pillow.
Eli Young is so funny, he doesn't know how funny he is. Or
He-
Eli Manning.
Move that
Eli
melon of
Manning, yeah.
yours and get the paper if you can. hauling that gargantuan cranium about.
You know, what was it? Who was the comedian who made fun of Peyton Manning at the roast that they did? And he said that, when like kids used to put the bowls on their head and their family used to just like follow and cut the bangs. So Peyton needed like a colander, like a 10-quart colander.
I didn't see that. I love those roasts. I love those roasts. One of my favorite roasts was the roast of Justin Bieber. But before Justin, you know how before they do those, they actually roast each other. All the people on the panel, they roast everyone on the panel. They come up and they have their time. Before they roast the person, they roast everyone on the panel too. And I can't remember who it was, but Shaquille O'Neal was there and Kevin Hart was there.
Yeah.
And they were ripping on each other.
Wasn't that the roast of
it was Justin Bieber?
Yeah.
And so the girl was like, "Oh, Kevin Hart, he's so grown up. Now he goes up on his wife." Yeah. And I was like, "Oh my God!" He gets himself in and out of chairs, like all those types of things. Yeah. And they said Shaquille O'Neal, he has to use Dropbox to send dick pics. And it said Shaquille O'Neal is what was it? O'Neal. Oh no, that's what it was. Shaquille is like, I don't know, whatever. It was some African type thing for handsome, and O'Neal is Irish for just kidding. And I was like, "That's great!" Like they were.
The best part was that same girl was like, because Kevin Hart was hosting it.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, it's nice to see that Shaquille O'Neal's dick is hosting tonight. I was like, wow,
oh, that is so good.
Wow,
some of the roasts are so good.
It's so good,
so good. All right, so
I don't know. This Boston's hitting right now.
This Boston's like really.
It's really good.
I still do like Frankfurt a little better.
So I did do the intros to all of these, but I did not do Boston. So let me do the Boston one. It said climate. Golden sunshine and clear air define the climate of the Booker No campus in Boston, Kentucky.
Climate. You thought you said climax.
Well, maybe. Whatever. These unique conditions make for faster, richer aging. A distiller, and I hate when they say faster, richer aging. No, it's still 17 years old. You mean maturation. A distiller couldn't ask for a better climate for maturation. And then they used maturation. There they go. They made up for it. Place. In Boston, the rack houses are widely spaced, giving the bourbon even room to mature. The distance meets the clear conditions to create a bold and characterful... that's not a word.
Characterful?
Characterful whiskey. Much like Booker No himself. And then they use the word terroir. Terroir, yeah. For like different regions, basically. It says this terroir lends the liquid a sweetness. The liquid, there you go. A sweetness. And
they say liquid streams. I like when they use that.
Not found in other Kentucky series releases. Hazelnut, coconut, marshmallow, and baking spices. Ideal conditions truly make ideal bourbon.
It was interesting because when I first tasted this, I did get coconut, and I was like, "That's weird." This is probably the most unique out of the three. I would argue.
Let me ask you this: do you think that they released this last because they thought it was the best?
I don't know. Maybe
the wording in what I just read, I feel like makes you think that they
either the best or the most unique. I would say.
Okay, unique. Yeah, that could be it. Yeah. So, all right,
because Claremont I feel like can get pretty on par with the Jacob's Wells that we had. Obviously the Frankfurt.
I would say that the Claremont was most similar to the Jacob's Wells.
Like the Frankfurt has the spice, the florality, which I think is also a made up word. Baking spices.
Hey, if they can say characterful, you can say florality.
I can say florality.
I'm fine with it.
And then the Boston, I think, is probably I think it's the most sweet, but it's a different type of sweet than what you get in the others.
Yeah. Like to see that. So I've got these three set up, ready to go, and you've got your Infinity Blend.
So I blended every single 1, 2, 3, all 5 Hardin's Creeks I blended.
I just blended the 3.
Okay.
All right. So are we gonna when we end this? Are we gonna have a little Baker's 13 and a little Booker's
Country Ham?
No, well, Country Ham or the new one, either one. I don't care. All right, so I'm going to go back through these. You guys do your own thing. We'll meet in the middle. And
real quick, JT, which one is your favorite out of the 5? You got to rank them.
Oh, okay. I'm going to go Frankfurt.
That's number 1?
Yes.
Wow. He likes that spice.
Boston 2.
He likes it a spice.
Boston 2.
Do it.
Last year's Jacob Well. Claremont, and then this year's Jacob Well, but that still hasn't fully opened up.
Did you say Boston in there anywhere?
Yep.
Which one was Boston?
Boston was...
It was second.
2.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Frankfurt, Boston, last year's Jacob Well. Claremont, this year's Jacob Well.
So I think last year Jacob's Well is the 184 is actually, I think, still my favorite. I think I would still put that number 1.
The first Jacob's Well.
The first Jacob's Well is probably still my number 1. I would go Claremont number 2, Boston number 3, Frankfurt number 4, and then the this year's Hardin's Creek number 5. I wasn't a huge fan. Too sweet.
I'm going to agree with the last Hardin's Creek. So that's my 5. I think I'm still kind of gauging here, but I think the Jacob's Well, the 2 Jacob's Wells are my final 4 and 5.
Okay.
I like them all. So let's
Yeah, they're all good.
Nothing's bad.
Right.
Nothing's
So-
bad.
So let's just say that.
And
first.
and like there's 3 of these. I would say the 2 Hardin's Creeks and the Claremont probably have the most. Someone lost their head. Probably are the most.
2 people did.
The most similar.
Out for a
Whereas
play.
I think the Frankfurt and the Boston are outliers.
2 helmets came off. That's out for 2. Each out for a play.
I mean, shoot,
This one would rank high in that, too.
Oh my God, that Knob Creek single barrel might be the best.
right? And that was from Bourbon on Maine.
That's
Reese's
that-
Peanut Butter Cup.
That's a
Honest
Reese's
to God.
peanut butter cup.
I'm
in
not going to
glass.
lie. So so just full transparency here. We primed with a Knobs Creek
10-year.
single barrel 10-year from Bourbon on
Oh my
Maine
God.
One-
that I bought a
120
few years ago.
So good.
120 proof.
And I'm not going to lie. The first 2 Hardin's Creek we had, I thought were a disappointment comparatively.
It's a straight up peanut butter cup.
It was so good.
Yep. But again, you're 109 proof, 108 proof, 120 doesn't seem like
Right.
that much, but it is. Those Knob Creek single barrels at 120 proof freaking slap.
Yeah.
They do. I'm going to have to say, I think my 1, 2, and 3.
I might have to move up Boston.
I'm going to say Boston's my number 1. Frankfurt and Claremont I really like for different reasons,
Yeah.
but I'm probably going to say I like Frankfurt too. I like the spice a little bit more, and I'm not normally a huge.
Yeah. I might move up Boston just because I just love the uniqueness of it.
Where did you have Boston?
Well, I mean, we had it in.
No, where did you have it in the,
I
ranking originally? When you say I might have to move it
I
up,
don't even remember. I think I had it maybe 4th or 3rd.
Jim Beam released this. The 3 of them blended together. It was like a distillery 04 came in the box.
Yeah.
And this is a combination of that. Mm-hmm. Smell that.
yeah, I think Boston's my favorite.
This is with all the Hardin's Creeks. This is with the Jacob's Wells in there too.
So I think Boston's my favorite. Frankfurt and Claremont are 2A and 2B, and then the 2 Hardin's Creek are 3 and 4 are 4 and 5. Wow.
It's a good lineup. I can't go wrong.
No,
That
they're all
smells
good.
amazing.
Doesn't it smell good?
let me have a
Oh,
sip.
yeah.
Let me have a sip of that. Did you drink it?
I didn't.
You did.
I did not. I just dozed it.
Yeah, we encourage you if you have any of the Hardin's Creeks, blend them. They're really good together.
Well, it's like long lost brothers coming back together again. 17 years separated.
Yeah.
I wish we could get the Jim Beam box delivered here to Ohio.
I know. I heard about that on the Bourbon Road.
They have a lot of good releases in there.
That's actually pretty good. Mixed together. And that's all 5.
Yep.
How even do you think that was mixed?
They were pretty even, I would say.
As even as you could be.
As even as I think they are, yeah.
Here's these 3.
That's good.
And they actually released that, so I hope it's
They released this?
yes.
Who released it?
In the box, in the membership with Jim Beam.
They did a mixture?
Yes,
As
of the 3.
Really?
Yeah, it's a 04.
How did they label it?
It's like a little 375, right?
Yep.
And it's 04 Distillery Select. I don't
So
think they actually released it.
So it's like
in the
it
gift
looks
shop.
like an experimental type thing.
Yeah.
It looks like you wouldn't know until you read the label.
It
but-
looks like a miniature Russell's bottle.
Yeah, I like them all blended together. They're good.
I like that one better.
Do you?
All
I didn't-
5?
I didn't try that one.
This comes off a little hot. Edwards is gone.
God dang.
And touchdown, Michigan.
Yeah. Edwards is good at that. He's not good at reading the hole immediately, but if he's able to bounce off the initial contact it's like then he reads the hole.
Which is exactly what he just did.
Yeah.
So.
He bounced off the contact and then, okay, I'm free. And he's gone.
Look at that setup.
Right here. Take this. Look, nothing. Nothing. There was nothing there. He chose the wrong hole. Did you see that? There was nothing there. He chose the wrong hole. And then because they didn't tackle him, he bounced off of it and then finally got the right hole.
Problem I used to have. Wrong hole.
Well, hey, I'd say wrong girl.
That's right.
Yeah. I would say always go high before you go low. That's all I'm saying.
Choose high. It depends on which way they're facing.
You want a real wild time, hit it from behind and then call your ex-girlfriend's name.
Wow.
Hold on.
At that point,
We call that the rodeo.
At that point, just leave the room.
I'll see
Well,
myself
you gotta
out.
finish first. You call that the rodeo. All right, so
That was a great
I
night.
really enjoyed all of these.
Yeah, really good, man.
But I want to wrap this up. Start watching football.
It was kind of nice to actually have the two Hardin's Creeks with the lineup because I do think it gives everyone
the Jacobs Wells, you mean?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
two Jacobs Wells. I think it gives everyone a real good grasp on how I think impressive these bourbons are. You know, for the money, for the price. Obviously, you have 5 bottles here that are under 200, but they have very high ages.
All very different.
They're from a heritage distillery. They're all very different. And then this is just kind of a microcosm of why I think Jim Beam just absolutely killed it in 2023.
What I think's interesting is the last 3 we did, the actual locational releases, are the exact same juice, separated at birth, and sent to different places to age for 17 years. And
how
the
different
fact that they are all different is tremendous to me.
I mean, if that's what Jim Beam was going for, they nailed it.
So let's take a broader look at this. When you look at everybody's favorite, right? Buffalo Trace, right?
Well, not mine, but most people's.
But you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So
loves
Buffalo
the
Trace, they have 2 mash bills, but most of the stuff you're drinking on a daily basis is from 1 mash bill.
Yeah.
Right? Minus the Weller. But you're getting Eagle Rare, Buffalo Trace, Benchmark, and all of those things from the same mash bill, but just because they're put in different places in the rick house.
Yep.
And I just think that's an amazing...
Different places and different ages.
Right.
All combined to create different bottles.
You're right. So you got Buffalo Trace in the mid-level kind of area. Same with the Eagle Rare, but it's 10 years. Benchmark at the higher end of the rick house. But my point is you get all these different flavor profiles from the same mash bill, same yeast strain, different locations in the rick house.
Yeah. I mean...
Now we've got the same mash bill, distilled on the same day, so all things being equal, they're the same thing.
Well, I will say Jacob's Wells are outliers.
Well,
because they're
Jacob's
blends.
Well, sure.
Because they're blends with a high rye
the
bourbon.
Claremont, Frankfurt, and Boston
Yeah.
are all distilled on the same day and then separated at birth.
Filled in the same barrels on the same day and then put in the warehouses on the same
And
day.
they have all 3 different profiles.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And I love that. It just goes to show all the things that can come into play to make bourbon what it is.
I mean,
a yeast strain. Just look at Four Roses and the 10 recipes they have.
I mean, terroir is something you hear a lot about with Scotch whiskey.
Sure.
Across Scotland. But
Yeah.
I think as bourbon has expanded across the United States and it's made in so many different places now, terroir really does.
It means
matters.
something.
Yeah, it means something.
something.
Yeah.
No, and I think that's my point is all of these different things come into play with bourbon, whether it's just a single location but different levels on a rick house, whether it's just a different yeast strain. Everything being equal, but a different yeast strain with all the different Four Roses recipes. 2 yeast strains, you've got 2 mash bills, 10 different recipes out of it. I mean, that's just incredible to me.
Yep.
Or, sorry, not 2 yeast strains, 5 yeast strains, 2 mash bills.
Well, I think the number one example of that is Wild Turkey. Not just because I'm a fanboy, but I mean, look how many flavor profiles they come out. They have 2
But that's why
mash
you're a
bills that they
fanboy.
work with.
But that's why you're a fanboy.
Yeah, it's incredible what they do with it, with all the different locations.
But that's what I mean. It's incredible, just those little variables, and then so building off of that, to me, what is also incredible about that is you've got So you've got one mash bill creating 5, 6, 7 different brands. Then you've got people that have to take all of those variables, right, and create a consistent blend of Buffalo Trace, of Knob Creek, of all of these different brands, but they have to create a consistent blend with all these variables in play.
It's an art form, man.
It's
is.
nuts.
Yeah.
And what I want to know, and this is what I'd really love to look at, is take a Buffalo Trace from 5 years ago, 7 years ago, 8 years ago, whatever, and compare it to today. How similar are they really?
I mean, I think there'll be some similarities, but I don't think they'll be that similar, to be honest.
Just like you talked about with the 1920 earlier in this episode, that you're missing what note? The chocolate note now?
Yeah, the chocolate cherry is completely shifted into just straight up what you would expect, straight up banana.
Banana.
Yeah.
So, but that's what I mean. But you're tasting it all throughout.
Yeah.
And do you notice it? It's like you don't notice all of a sudden that you gain 50 pounds because you see yourself every day. So a year later, you've gained 50 pounds. Do you notice that?
Yeah, I mean, Wild Turkey enthusiasts do the same thing with Rare Breed. Like, as they release different batches, like the Russell Reserve single barrels in 2023, not the picks. I just mean the ones that are available on the shelf.
On the
new
shelf,
gold.
yeah.
They were absolutely fantastic in 2023. And it's like, okay, well, now you want to find out because they don't give you like the rick houses they're pulling it from. It's like, where are they from? How come they're so good? It's amazing.
No, you're right. And that's my point. There's so many variables at play, so many different things happening, and it's just from single barrels to small batches to flagship bourbons. It's just crazy.
I would say bourbon is 75% education, 25%. Just get lucky, baby. You never know what you can pick up in that bottle.
I would say marriage is the same thing.
Yeah.
That's how you do it.
If I had to pick 3 distilleries to drink for the rest of my life, it would be Wild Turkey, Jim Beam, and Michter's. And I say Jim Beam's in there. I think a lot of people overlook them.
Because most people don't think of Jim Beam with all the extra brands they have.
Right, but I love them because they've stayed true to heritage.
Yeah.
Everything that they come out with is within the family.
Honestly, you're not wrong, but you're wrong. I would say...
JT, you need to leave now, apparently.
You're gone.
See myself out.
Voted off the island. No, I mean, honestly, the Wild Turkey I would 100% agree with. You're right with that for sure, 100%. I would say that in addition to Wild Turkey, from me, consistency-wise, Old Forester has been 100% consistent. Love that. They're shelfers. Mm-hmm. And I know they have 2 shelfers? I mean, minus the Whiskey Row series. But
the
Signature 100
86.
is just insane.
Even the 86.
The 86 is insane.
Even I know the 86 has turned a lot of people I know onto bourbon just from that bottle. So
because it's just consistent and good.
Yeah.
That's just bananas, man.
So those are 2 from. It is bananas.
Well played.
BANANAS. All right.
With that.
But I would honestly throw in Buffalo Trace for that. I don't think Buffalo Trace is doing anything wrong, minus the fact that their age statements are getting, but their MSRPs are low. It's not their fault that they're just being hijacked on secondary.
They're not in my top 5.
I would. I mean, why not?
I put Bardstown, and I also put
Bardstown Bourbon Company?
Old Forester in front of them.
I like what Bardstown Bourbon Company is doing, but they're shelfers. I would say that I would go to Buffalo Trace if all things being equal and easy to get to.
I think their 100 proof Origin Series Weeder can go right up against Weller.
I agree with
hands
that.
down.
I mean, I poured their Discovery 6, and it tastes straight like watermelon. It was sweet. It was just...
But again, that's...
But a lot of people don't like watermelon.
It's a blend.
Yeah, you have to look at the blend components. Yeah. That's going to be a hit or miss. They're not doing that for consistency. They're doing that, let's try our new blend.
Hey, and I will say that Bardstown Bourbon Company is the only place that makes me enjoy something that has Dickel in it. Nice. All right, we're at 90 minutes. Let's go ahead and end this. Signing off here, guys. Second episode of season 5. We're at season 5.
Season 5.
Isn't that crazy? You remember you reached out to me in season 1, and I was like, we're not ready for that.
Yeah, season 1, we're not ready for you yet, dude. Dude was like, Jason, yeah, you know what? Let us get our shit together. We'll call you.
And now you're a regular.
Now I'm a regular.
I mean, I would call you a regular.
Yeah, and I'm proud to be a part of it. You guys convinced me on the trip to start my own podcast.
You should.
Not really my own, not a podcast per se like this, but taking my videos and turning them into audio.
Yeah.
So that's something I'm actually.
It's another way for people to just ingest you.
It's something. Yes. Ingest me.
Take it sexually.
Take it sexually.
Take it sexually.
Yeah. But just, for anyone listening, be on the lookout for a Master and Drum podcast. But it's generally just going to be my reviews in audio form that you can listen to. I may sporadically put some cool interviews in there with distillers that I think people will be
I may sporadically listen to it more now.
I think you're going to sporadically maybe be part of it, just so you know.
I would love to be part of it.
Yeah, for sure.
I would honestly. You've done so much for ours. I would not that I would add anything to yours except for fucking comedy. Comedy.
I'll be like, dude, you just have to record it here. It's like, can I drink your bourbon? Yeah, sure. I'll be right there.
I'll be there in 20 minutes.
I'll be there in 20 minutes.
Listen,
my creative juices don't flow unless I'm drinking Jason's stuff.
Listen, I think anyone who listens to this podcast knows that I try to stay host, but at the same time, I cannot resist the fucking comments when Tyler's here.
Oh. Yeah.
So, I've got to add comedy.
Wait, before you sign off, one more quick thing.
Yeah.
Okay, that's for you, Tyler.
For you, Tyler. He's not listening.
This is just great. It's just great.
It's great.
Yeah, it was all good.
All good stuff tonight. All right, guys.
All good. Thanks, guys. See you next week. Thank you for joining us on yet another hunt for great bourbon. Please give us a 5-star review anywhere you are listening. But if you can't, leave some constructive criticism in the review so that we can get better at improving our show. Good reviews help us bring better guests on for your listening pleasure, not mine. But until then, sit back, grab a pour, kick up your feet, and enjoy some bourbon.